Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we have a sick Honda. This little GX140, she's old. It's mature. It's got some wear on it. Now this was a removed from a Honda rototiller. We repowered it in another video with a Princess Auto engine, which is our equivalent to Harbor Freight. So it's offshore. Well, this was offshore. This is the different offshore. This is Japanese, actually made in Japan. But the other offshore, so this is a 5-horse, and we put a 140cc, and I put a 7-horse or 6.5, 7-horse, 212cc on that tiller for the customer. Great machine, really nice machine. But the cost to rebuild this, with the cost of the machine and labor and everything, it just wasn't worth it for him. It was better off for him to just drop another engine on there. But anyways, this is now scrap. Let's see what's going on with it. The problem with it was blowing oil smoke really bad. You fire it up and it was fine. All of a sudden, just oil like crazy. But I want to tear it down and see what's going on with it. If it needs a set of rings, we'll do rings. If it's guides, I really don't know what's going on with it yet. So let's burn that bridge when we get to it. But anyways, what I did do is I hooked up my new bore scope. And we'll see that after the video intro. Okay. It was an adventure to get the bore scope and everything lined up so you guys could see it and it would stay where it is. Let's get you zoomed in on that screen down there. And that's the best I'm going to be able to get for you. I've tried. So what you're looking at right in this area, this shiny, these two little shiny spots here, that is literally puddles of oil sitting on top of the piston. Now I haven't run this today. I'm thinking what it is the guides. Because if it was rings, it would be pulling, the oil would be coming from the crankcase up and burning as it's running. But I think if the guides were bad, they're above the piston. And if there's a puddle of oil sitting around the guides, it could roll right down the guides through the open valves and just fill the combustion chamber up with oil. That's what we're going to check first, because it's super easy. I'm not doing a tool review, but this is my new bore scope. It's a Autel. I don't know. It was on sale. It was a couple $100 or $160 or something like that. It works fine. I like it. Donny Boy 73 did a video on these a while back. It's not a new tool by any stretch. It's not a brand new thing, so, but it seems to be okay. Works for me. It's got internal memory. It takes, well, it'll do 215 pictures right now, and you can change to a video mode. And with just the internal memory, it'll record 1 minute and 29 seconds of video. But I took a picture of that. See if I can get you back down in there. Just a little. I'm trying to hold this steady so you guys stay focused, but I did take a look around in there. I didn't see any scratching in the bore. That's just staining from piston rings sitting where they're sitting. I didn't see any anything bad. It's definitely not carboned up. There's the top of your pistone there. Yeah, it's not easy to get things around in there. Plus I got the muffler on. I can't really get a nice wide view. Oh, there's our spark plug threads. Yeah, so it's lit. It's got LED light in it. That's the lowest setting. Otherwise, if I find if it's any brighter than that, it'll wash things out and you just can't see. I mean, it's no carbon. There, we can see some of the bore there. It's just hard to get a good picture of it. Anyways, I'm going to get some tools gathered, and we'll pull the valve cover off. I want to wiggle the valves and see what they look like. Alright, so I took some stuff off just mainly for clarity so we can get in there and see. The air cleaner is off, the muffler is off, just to make it easier to look at stuff. Let's get this valve cover off here. Well, there's the valves. Anyway, microscopic little push rods under there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the engine over. Well, that's loose. You know what, I might as well just take those off. Probably need to be set anyways. Let's see if we can see something moving in there. You guys aren't going to see squat. You got no angle. Yeah, maybe we'll take those off. 10 millimeter. It's a little lock nut. And then that's the adjuster. You would loosen this lock nut and then loosen or tighten this nut to get your proper valve clearance. That is a tiny fine thread, 3 miles long. Little rocker. Baby push rod. Look at it, it's cute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this valve stem and just give it a wiggle back and forth to see if it's really loose. That'll tell me the guide is loose. But honestly, the guides are up. The guides are up pretty high. I wouldn't think that a puddle of oil would be able to get by them. We're probably into a set of rings. Yeah, let's get that one off. Have a look-see. Well, the whole mess came out. Stud and everything. That's okay, we can fix that. Another tiny push rod. Nice and straight. Oh. There's a follower on that one, and there wasn't one on this one. It's got to be normal. I think this one's got a follower. This one doesn't. I'll check a parts diagram to be sure. But these are actually the same height right now. There we go. I'll just take spring right off. So I'm going to just wiggle the valves back and forth in the guide. Oh, there's some play in there. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but there is some. Well, that valve's going to fall down in there. Ooh, pie, she's gone. That's fine. I'm going to end up pulling the head off anyway, so it doesn't matter. Well, it's all the way gone now. It's all the way in. Let's try this one. Just wiggling it back and forth this way. It's got some play. Nothing horrible. Well, that is what it is. Looks like cylinder head's coming off. I'm going to take these 2 screws off here. Easy peasy. Then there is a spring that attaches underneath here for your throttle. There we go. Carburetor's got to come off. It did run good, so I don't even think I need to do carb work. What else? Oh, we got some shields and stuff here. I got to pull this cover off to get this cover off to get the head bolts out. Yeah. Looks like it. There's 2 bolts that I can see. Let's try them. One here and one here. You guys still seeing? Let me back you out a little bit. Well, it's got clearance now. I don't need to take all that cover the crap off. Carb does need to come off though. There's fuel in the tank. There's some, anyway. Yeah, enough that it'll leak. Okay, well, let's see if I can just sneak it out of there. There's a little tiny governor spring here, damper spring, you know, those pliers. Little spring unhooked from the throttle. And this should just pop out. Nice. Do we have the clearance to get that off of there? Not really. Let's get this off of here. Anyways, the back of these gaskets on the carburetor, they show a lot of dirt. And that, I mean, it's an indication that dirt and crap had gotten in behind the air cleaner, behind the air filter. So it was unfiltered air going in there. Not good. Definitely not good for your rings. Which may be our issue. I don't know. I don't know. It's probably easy enough for me to take these bolts out of the cylinder head, hold the carburetor, slide the head away from it. Well, let's give it a try. This little gun enough? Oh yeah. Those actually weren't that tight. I don't know if there's any more. All the same length. That makes it handy. Little rubber mallet. Don't know if there's more or not. Doesn't seem to be. Okay. A valve came right out of there. Just unhook the fuel line from this little clip. Unhook our spark plug wire from its little clip. Just find a home. We'll slide the head out from the carburetor. Well, there's the cylinder head. There's one valve here. Not seeing a spot where maybe the valve or the head gasket is burned or blown out. So we get this out there because, you know, it's tight now, but it'll fall out later and we'll lose it. So that's our intake valve. Let's examine our seat. See what the seat looks like. I mean, she's got some wear on it. Well, that's the intake valve. There's the exhaust valve where it landed. Back of the valve's a little carbony. A little bit of wear on the stem where it rides in the guide being in the cylinder head. And it's got some wear, a wear line on it too. So let's just get a real good look at this bore. Staining there, looks like maybe water sat in there at one point. I'm not seeing any major scratches. Just a little staining in the bore, that's nothing serious. The other thing that could be, and what I've seen on Briggsy's, is the head gasket blows between where the push rods go and the cylinder, and it'll actually suck oil in. That usually happens on the one cylinders where the push rods are on the side and the cylinder's here on a Briggs, a vertical shaft engine. Let's get a little blade underneath that head gasket. I want to gently remove that gasket so I could see if there's any damage between here. I don't think so. This is stuck pretty good. There's nothing wrong with that gasket. It's perfect. So it wasn't sucking oil. This is a real heavy metallic gasket, where the Briggsy's that leak, those are just paper basically. Very weak. And they crack right there. Well, nothing major is popping out at me here, guys. Nothing major. Examine the bottom of that head again. Hardened seats. They look fine. I'm not seeing any problems with this causing an oil burn anyway. I guess now what I'll have to do is flip her forward. We'll get the pulley off of here. We'll get the sump cover off. Pull the piston. So let me get a little bit of room back on the bench here. We'll get some different tools and we'll jump into that. Okay, well, it still had oil in it, so I drained that out. Got her flipped up on its nose. You can see that tapered shaft here. There's no keyway in that. Use a specialized pulley, tapered. And it just spins. It uses the friction of that taper to hold it. So when you put these on, if you're dealing with one of these, it's got to be clean and dry. No oil, no anti-seize, none of that stuff. And they can be a bear to get off too. Usually requires a puller and a whap on the end of the puller with a hammer to get those off. And then you end up mangling the pulley, which is, you know, rare. It's a rare item, unicorn pulleys. Let's get these taken out of here. These are all the same length. These top ones had wire clips on it from the old engine application. Don't need them now. Put those to the side and give her a whack. Is it loose? Yeah, it's on dowels though. Little dowels to line everything up, and they're kind of sticky. Just working back and forth. Get a little screwdriver in right at the dowel. The plan was not to mangle the gasket. Actually might be sticky on that, on the seal. Let's get a little spray on there and see what happens. Let's try 2 screwdrivers. Here we go. Probably a bushing now that's sticky on that rusty crankshaft. Likely. Yep. I'll reach in there with screwdrivers and wreck things. Also don't want to pull the crankshaft out. Just work yourself off. Nice and slow like. It's moving. Here we are. Okay. Putting out a bushing at the bearing. Huh. Okay. That's all good. Bearing feels good. It's relatively clean in there. See the pistone going up and down over there? Just checking our timing marks, make sure everything's golden. It is. Top dead center, dots are lined up, we're good. Let's get that camshaft out of there, just so it's not in the way. There's the automatic decompression system. Let me show you how that works, because it's interesting. You're a wipe. So automatic decompression, it decompresses the engine just before the top dead center of the compression stroke when you're pulling it. So it's easy to pull. But then once it reaches speed, the decompressor drops off out of the way, and then it just runs on regular compression. And that's centrifugal. So that is the lobe for one of the lifters. That little tiny tab there is higher than the lobe. So what happens is at slow speed, the lifter bumps over top of that tab, and it just cracks the valve just enough to bleed out the compression. Then, once it's running, this weight moves and moves the tab out of the way. So as soon as it fires up and starts to run pretty well quick, this weight moves and it runs on regular compression. It just rides on the cam lobe instead of the little tab, so it doesn't just bump the valve. That's that. I'm probably saying stuff that everybody knows, but, well, small engine guys know it. But I guess not everybody watching is a small engine guy. All right, so there's 2 bolts in here to get that connecting rod apart. Looks like 10 M&Ms. Yeah. Okay, so there's the bottom end, the bottom cap of the connecting rod. It's in beautiful shape. Crankshaft is spotless, it's perfect. Nice. Let's get the crank rotated out of the way, get that piston pushed out of there. Well, there's the piston. Tiny bit of scuffing. I mean, the rings don't look terrible, but it's hard to tell. It's hard to say what the issue is. Oil control ring's not broken. The bottom one's your oil control ring. These 2 are your compression rings, the top 2. Is it possible somebody's had it apart and put, well, maybe the rings are wrong. I don't know. I don't know. And the customer that I did this repair for previously, he doesn't know either. But that piston being that clean tells me somebody probably cleaned it. You got to be a part to do that. I don't have the spec off the top of my head, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a piston ring end gap test. Just get your ring in there somewhat. Get it straightened out with the piston. And then measure the gap at the end of the ring. I don't know what the spec is, but I'm seeing a lot, like a wide gap. We'll have to measure it and check specs, because that's a lot. You guys can't see it. There's a 32, and you could put that in there and a truck beside it. Well, I'm 20 and a 19. That's 39, and it fits right in. Let's try 41. No, 41 just fell in. All right, I'm going to check specs to find out what's going on with this thing. It's over 40 thou piston ring end gap. That's a lot. All right, guys, time to get out some tools. I got the rings off the piston, and unfortunately, the oil control ring broke coming off. Look how clean that piston is. There is no way that's an old piston. That's been replaced. The rings are the wrong rings, definitely. I believe that's the problem. So I'm going to just do a real quick, just a visual shaky test of the piston and the bore. Crankshaft out of the way. Maybe get around there. Just gonna get my fingers underneath. There's actually not that much movement in there, so I'm gonna say the piston's probably okay. I mean, it's nice and snug in there. Let's get that ring back in there for you. That's the up. This is the top compression ring. some of you guys are probably getting bored, but this is how you diagnose things. It's not always exciting. A lot of it is repetitious and pain in the butt. Just use your piston to square that ring off on the bore. Doesn't have to go way down. You just want to make sure it's in the wearing area where the piston ring normally runs, and you could literally park a tractor in that thing. That end gap is over 40 thou, and the spec is 8 to 16. That's wrong. So, the piston fits in the bore. There's no marking on it telling me it's an oversize or anything. Usually they have a 0.5 or something on them. I don't see that. 0.5 or a 1 or a 1.5, and that's your millimeter oversize. I don't see that. But let us now measure the bore. So these are inside bore mics. Well, it's not a mic, it's just a spring-loaded piece. Anyway, so you go get it kind of half centered there and tilt it on an angle, snug the lock ring up, and as you tilt this out of here, it'll compress itself to the bore. So that's our bore. And let's measure this. 0. Anybody out there who's a machinist and watching this? Let me back you out. Anybody out there watching who's a machinist is saying, that's not accurate. You know what? It's not. This is, to a machinist, this is as accurate as a measuring tape. We're going to get a rough idea anyways. We got 6405 millimeters, and our specs are cylinder block, cylinder board ID standard, 64 millimeters, 64 to 64.015, and we have 64.04. That's a standard bore. So what I'm trying to determine is what has been changed. What is different? We have a standard bore, which means this piston is standard. The rings are too small, which tells me it's the wrong rings. The wrong rings were installed on this engine. Standard bore that's in good shape, you put standard rings on them, but whoever put this thing together probably just ordered rings for a GX140 and threw them in there and never checked the end gap, because that would have been your clue. So if the end gap on the compression rings is wrong, the end gap on the oil control rings was definitely wrong. So that 40 thou clearance in the end of the ring will give you a huge amount of oil coming up through the cylinder. This engine has been apart. That's a new piston. There is not a speck of carbon anywhere, even in the grooves. So somebody's had this apart and fixed it incorrectly. And that's our problem. All right, parts come in for this little GX140 Honda, and let's check them out. So the piston I took out had a one-piece solid oil control ring. This is more the conventional style, set with a little, oh, you can't see squat, a wave washer and two little thin guys. This is conventional for most pistons that you're going to see. And on these, we got a top compression ring is beveled both sides, got a chrome edge on it. I'm not seeing a top and a bottom or a mark or a dot or anything, so I'm just gonna, it's beveled, so I'm just gonna throw that one in either way. And the second compression ring is notched. I'll see if we can get a picture. We might be able to, maybe not. Anyways, this ring looks like drawing. So that's the piston side. Then there's the top of the ring. Goes down against the bore. Well, basically it's kind of like this, that notch. The notch goes down. That's the way they go. This came with a new piston. The kit came with a piston, set of rings, wrist pin. I believe in England they call them gudgeon pins. I don't know. Weird. and a set of circlips. Top ring, bottom ring, oil ring. So let's get, actually, let's get that top ring in there. We're going to roll that top ring in there, just inside the bore, just in. I'm going to use the piston, old piston, don't matter, just to square it up in the bore. I'll tell you right now, that is a lot, considerably less than the old one. Somehow it got the wrong rings on it. So our spec is 8 to 15, 8 to 16, something like that. Well, let's just go right to 16, because if it's bigger than 16, I ain't happy. 16 doesn't fit. That's good. It's a good sign. But it's not crazy off. So let's go with 14. 14 thou. Just has tension. Just has tension on the end of the ring. There we go. I'm happy. I don't know what happened, because this piston appears to be right, but the rings that were on it are not. And I'm not sure. Sometimes rings kind of gotta go with the piston. They'll have different groove depths, so your land spacing will be different. I just got a piston and a set of rings, standard size, because I mic'd the bore and it was standard bore. So I didn't want to mess anything up. So I just went with a piston and a set of rings. All right, so that's okay. We should be good. Give that a little bit of a wipe. It's been out in the shed for a couple weeks. Dusty. Oh, that's fine. Perfect. Perfect. Let's get this old slug off the rod. Need a little screws and driver or a pick. He's got little tiny circlips in him, like really thin. I don't know. I believe this is a Honda piston, because it's got like a ZE1 on it, which that's the way Honda numbers their stuff. Looks like a fairly common part number prefix for Hondas. Get that wrist pin over there. Pin, piston. Check our small end. That's good. Still got oil on it. That's good. Big end I already looked at. No real problems or damage there. So you'll notice a piston. See the bottom there, that little notch arrow? That goes on the long end of the rod. These rods are not squared off. There's a long end and a short end. So the arrow goes to the long end. There's my get a ring or a wrist pin in there. Make sure it fits through. I didn't check it. I already checked it in the piston, but I did not check it in the rod. Oh, slide right in. Most of the way anyways. We'll get this circlip. Yeah. Get one of them in there. You guys seeing? There you go. You're not sure, cameraman. Let's get a pair of needle nose. Old worn out needle nose with no teeth left in them. You can't buy dentures for them, so you just gotta hope it doesn't fly off and hit you in the retina. So, gently now, put your finger on these things. Don't let them fly across the room. Little squeeze, just a gentle squeeze. Get it set in the ring groove, which it appears to be. It is. That's good. Now we can push this side in, and we get the other clip in. Easy. Easy. Click. She's in. Shazam! A little spin, make sure it's seated. No binding. Now I'm gonna try and rock the piston. I don't think so. I don't think it's even gonna move because I couldn't get anything on there. I did do a quick slide fit of the piston and give it a rattle. It's not like, I can't turn it sideways, so we're gonna call that good enough. Let's put our oil control rings together. Put your wavy one in first. Gaps here. Let's just turn it a little bit. I don't like putting gaps over the wrist pins. We'll put that one there. I believe it says that one of these controlled it. Either one of these rings, they shouldn't be within, the gap shouldn't be within half an inch, 0.4 inches. I know it's too picky. 0.4, 0.5 inches. what's the 1/10 of an inch? 100,000ths of an inch is what it is. So that gap's there. I'm just going to rock this one back a little further. So put the wave in first, and then you put the 2 skinny ones in. These are nice and flexible, easy to use. Do have piston ring pliers. So the idea, let's throw the ring on the ground. No, there it is. The idea, you see the kind of funky ends. You get your piston ring hooked in there, and it'll hold it, and you can spread it evenly and just enough. You want it just enough to clear the piston. You don't want to overstretch them, overextend them. Oh yeah, slid right out. It's a small little ring. Get in your home. Oh yeah, it's going nice. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. She's in. Got our top ring. Like I said, there's no top, no bottom marked. We're going to set that. I'm going to set it 180 off from the second ring. Is it beveled both sides? Yes, beveled both sides. I could just see the profile of it without my spectacles. Oh, these rock in nice and easy. Beautiful. Beautiful. Take our rod bolts out. The long end goes down on the push rod side because it's got our dipper for our splash oiling. And looks like I did not get my piston ring installer kit out. Eesh. You can put piston rings in and stuff without an installer. The installer makes life so much easier. So you could put that in there and just gently walk all the rings and everything in, but I've got a band tool to go over that. Firstly, I'm gonna put a few drops of engine oil on there. Get these rings lubricated. That's a bit of a contested thing. Some places will tell you do not oil the rings. Some places tell you put them on dry. Some people will tell you got to use there's a powder for breaking in rings. I just put a couple of drops on things, spin it around. I don't want them binding up in there. Makes them easy to compress and throw in there. Let me get my oil can, get my piston ring compressor, and we'll get this thing installed.